Well, you know who changed it.
Okay. We don't know. I don't know.
How would you pronounce that?
Okay, here we go.
Pringer? 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 Pringer?
I don't know what I'd go with, but
Okay.
it's me. I'm old German, we don't know how to pronounce anything anyhow.
Oh, okay, time to go. Good evening, and welcome to the April 17th, 2019 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. At this time, I would request that everyone please turn off or mute all electronic devices, and please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Conditional use permit requests will be heard tonight, and once the commission makes a recommendation, the applications will be scheduled to be introduced at the Monday, May 13th, 2019 County Council meeting. Public comment will be taken tonight and at the council meeting on Monday, May 13th, 2019. Public comment on the conditional use permit applications will not be taken at any meeting of the county council held thereafter. Applications for rezonings will also be heard tonight, and once the commission makes a recommendation, the applications will be scheduled to be introduced at the Monday, May 13th, 2019 County Council meeting. Applications for preliminary subdivision plats heard during tonight's meeting will be voted on by the Planning and Zoning Commission during the meeting. The vote on preliminary plats is final. Only a recommendation for denial of a preliminary plat will be heard before the County Council. The following documents are introduced as a matter of record for this evening's public hearing and regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Those documents are the Unified Development Ordinance of St. Charles County, including zoning maps, and the year 2030 Master Plan for St. Charles County, which includes the year 2030 Future Land Use Plan map. I see that we have a quorum. Do I have a motion to open the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
Okay. Call the meeting to order. A little ground rules of how the meeting works. I will read the application into the record. We will ask the staff for their report and recommendation. At that time, the commission can ask questions of staff. Then we'll have the applicant come forward to present the application and answer any questions that the commission may have. Then we will open the hearing, the public hearing portion and regarding the application. Once the public hearing is closed, we will then ask the applicant to come back if the commission has any further questions. The first item on the agenda is rezoning and conditional use permit request. The location is 2320 and 2404 Hopewell Road. The application is CUR 19-02. Property owner is KJ Storage LLC. Applicant is Joseph Pringer. Is that right? Pringer. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Current zoning is A Agricultural District. Requested zoning is C2 General Commercial District. The 2030 Master Plan recommends commercial zoning for this location. Conditional use request is a self-storage or mini warehouse. The area consists of 2.02 acres. The location is on the east side of Hopewell Road, approximately 300 feet west of Highway N, near the city of Lake St. Louis, located in Council District 2. Staff.
All right. As you mentioned, this is both a conditional use request and also a rezoning request. On the first issue, the rezoning, Staff did look at the two parcels, identified where they would be located in regard to, now this is proposed straightening of Highway N and Hopewell Road. There is nothing indefinite in the plans yet in terms of exactly where that relocation will be. However, when we look at the land use 2030 plans, the subject properties do fall within the commercial use outlining around where this proposed new intersection and the Highway N corridor will be located. Because of this and examining what was being used in the area and the proposed development of commercial properties along Highway N and in that intersection of Duello Road, Hopewell Road, staff did recommend approval of the rezoning request. So that would be your first issue to address. If the rezoning is recommended for approval by the commission, the next step is the conditional use permit hearing. On the conditional use, the applicant is proposing a concept plan with 4 mini warehouses. These would be for self-storage. They are proposing the recommended landscaping between the commercial property and the residential use directly to the east of this property. So they did address that. They've also addressed the proposed widening of Hopewell Road eventually. So they have reduced the number of storage units down to 4 mini warehouse units from originally that I think they had 6 in there. So they will have to keep a reserve strip for that future widening. Therefore, they will go ahead and move their setback further from Hopewell Road, their boundary line right now, and reserve that for future development. There will be the required landscaping on the front addressing the entrance. They will also be there on the southern portion of the property. It is 2 parcels right now. If this is all approved through council, when they come in with their formal site plan, we will require that they join those 2 parcels into 1 parcel and create just 1 parcel. So they will be on the southern portion for their entrance. There will be no offices, no need for sewer or septic systems. It will be, individuals will be coming in on their own. we haven't quite gotten to the point where we discuss whether or not they're going to have a locked gate or how they're going to access the property, but the applicant can probably address that for you. With that, staff is recommending approval of the conditional use also. It is a good use in terms of it's not open storage. It is little warehouses, self-contained units. I think it will fit in with the area. We did receive one letter of opposition.
Any questions for staff?
Yeah, I do. On that first page where you had the Highway N going through, now, so when Dill Road is connected with Hopewell, my understanding from the preliminary plans is the section that currently goes back where the elbow, that will be a dead end at N. Is that your understanding?
It is.
Okay.
Typically what they do on that is they will make it, call it like Old Hopewell Road.
Right,
or something.
okay. And so it in essence will become a corner lot when the new
Correct.
one's through. Okay, thank you.
The residential property that's to the north and the east, what is the recommendation in the 2030 plan for that property? Does the commercial cover any of that?
To the north and east, yes, you can see the, this is the land use 2030 plan. There's Highway N right now. I didn't show where the new connection is on this map. Here's Hopewell Road. All of this area they are proposing as commercial designation.
Because the ambulance district is right there, next to where this is being proposed.
Any other questions?
That's,
Right
yeah,
there.
that's the ambulance. right there.
Any other questions for staff?
Hey,
So-
maybe you know, is that a barn or something that's immediately to the north of the property? Or, I already know, I guess it's, yeah, I guess to the west, east, not that one, that one. That rooftop right there, that dark rooftop, looks like it has a,
It's a home.
The
that's
homes.
a home?
Both of those are homes.
Do we know how close is these storage buildings then to that house? That house looks like it's right on the property line.
It does look like it's right on the property line.
They do show this right here. I'm not sure if this is, let me see if I can blow this up for you.
Okay, Mike, this irritates the heck out of me. Do not send us stuff that we cannot read. We can't read anything that's on here. All these notes on the side, they're way too small for a human being to be able to read. So I don't know really what it says.
Is that 11 by 17 folder? Is the
This.
size 11 by 17?
All these notes that are over here, it might as well not even be on the page.
So you would like full-size plans?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've asked for this multiple times over the last 2 years, not to send us stuff that has font that is microscopic.
We will make sure, what can happen is, when we print it off as Citizen Serve, it comes to us as a digital format. When we blow it up to make it larger, it pixelates.
Well,
It doesn't always necessarily mean it'll be clear, but we will,
what
see what we
other,
can do.
what other communities do across the street is require that the applicant
full-size plans.
to send 12 full-size plans.
Correct.
So it's no additional cost on us. It's something that the applicant must provide. And to me, that is just common sense. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, I'll ask the applicant to come forward.
Did he answer?
You need to raise your right hand. Need to swear you in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do. Please
Please state your name and address for the record.
Joseph Pringer, 1262 Peruke Ridge Drive, Wentzville, Missouri.
Okay, go ahead, Joseph.
I think Ellie covered the majority of it. I currently do own a storage facility, exactly what I'm proposing to build out in Warren County in Wright City. And it's basically a self-serve facility. It's freestanding buildings, 10-foot garage doors, all metal, American-made buildings. They're very high quality. They came from Oklahoma. And there was a question about the gate. It's basically, I do like 90% of my business over the phone. I leave the units available, leave them unlocked, and people come and rent units as they fill. It works well for me.
Any questions for the applicant?
Will there be a fence around?
Yes.
Probably.
I'm proposing, I would like to do a fence around the whole facility, and then I would have a camera on the gate.
Do your prospective tenants then have a code to get in through that gate, or?
I said gate, I'm sorry. A camera on the entrance. There will be no gate.
No gate.
No gate.
And all these units, until they're rented, are just open?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Will there be any outside storage?
No, I'm not proposing any.
No boats, trailers?
No.
So this property, when the Hill Road does go through Hopewell, becomes a Carnivat. Do you see storage units as the highest and best use for that property long-term?
Pretty central for.
It does pretty well for me. So, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I can't answer that. If it's the best use for me personally, it's the best use for me.
Gotcha. Okay.
And as far as the entrance, I'm not fond of that entrance. I would rather, now that someone said that road's gonna become a dead end, I'd much rather have it come off the north side if that would make it better for anybody. That way, there would be less traffic there. Where that entrance is right now, there's a little crest, which is a dangerous little intersection right there. I would propose it to be on the north side, and with the you know, that utility easement that runs through there, that all might change if the road is to widen. You know, I don't know what Quiver River is going to do with their electric lines, if you're going to make a move or whatever. So that has the possibility to change. So that's something that I was thinking about, that maybe that might change. I would prefer it to be on the north side. But with room for detention and stuff, we thought the best would be on the southwest corner.
What's the size of each unit? Are they all the same in all 4 buildings?
So it's a 30-foot wide building, and if you picture it divided right down the middle, it'd be a 10-foot door, 15-foot deep. Well, that interior wall, when it's constructed, will divide, you know, depth-wise. So naturally, if on one side of the building it's 10 by 10, on the back side it'll be 10 by 20. And then like that all the way down the length of the building. So it'll be 10 by 20s on one side, 10 by 10 until you get halfway, and then I'll split it 10 by 15s and 10 by 15s, if I explained that correctly.
What's the construction of that interior dividing wall?
It's all steel. There isn't any wood at all in the buildings.
Any other questions?
Is the exterior steel siding also, or?
Yes, sir. Aluminum, and steel and aluminum, yes. I should say all metal.
So why is the entrance proposed there then if you don't want it in that location?
Well, it's kind
You
of,
can't change it now, I mean.
the way it was kind of explained to me, this was kind of just a concept of what we kind of want to do from my engineer, and he thought that was the best, and after hearing that might become a dead-end road, I would much rather have it there. Much rather, but I think there might be some issues with how much room I have for detention also. So that might come into play of where I can put my entrance.
Yeah.
Has the county looked at this in terms of the little rise that's there in terms of site restrictions? You know? Ellie?
To the what?
I'm sorry, on where the driveway location is, and he said there's a little bit of a rise, has the county looked at the sight lines there?
No, at this point on the concept plan, the entrance may be adjusted.
Okay.
It depends on the special use permit that they'll be required to get from the highway department.
Okay, but that will be something that will be addressed in the...
That, as long as it's in general conformity, it's kind of left up to the director of the department in terms of whether or not it has to come back to you for another look. But as long as he's not increasing the number of buildings or changing the use or anything like that, it's in general conformity.
Okay.
And it'll depend
No concern about the site, then, getting in and out of there?
It'll be up to the highway department, basically, and we'll address that on the formal site plan.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Now, will the area in between the buildings, will that be asphalt, gravel?
Concrete.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
If not, you can sit down, and I will now open the public hearing regarding conditional use and rezoning CUR 19-02. Anyone here wishing to speak? Come forward. Oh, and if you speak right on the rail there, please fill out one of our cards so that you can do that later, so we can move over this way.
Okay.
So we can get your name. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Susan Goris, 3737 Hopewell Road.
Okay, go ahead, Susan.
I have talked to a number of the residents on Hopewell Road in this very agricultural residential area, and none of us think this is the best use of this property. None of us think this will enhance the rural residential aspect of our region. There are 11 storage facilities very near this proposed site. One of them is a couple miles away. It's a giant U-Haul at Dardenne Prairie and Highway N. So there being 11, and I have their names and addresses here, but I won't bore you with them. They're O'Fallon, Wentzville, Lake St. Louis. 3 of them are Lake St. Louis, one's Dardenne Prairie. I have great doubts that all of those are filled, and I am guessing they are begging for customers instead. And I just don't see that this is needed. That's one of my points. The master plan deals with talking about things that support the area. Well, this whole street, 4.9 miles long, there are a couple of horse facilities, there's a couple of, there are people who are farming it, and then there are people who just moved out to the country to enjoy nature. I think a supporting kind of facility would be something like a kennel or animal breeding facility, something of that nature. I don't think, I think it would be a great stretch of the imagination to call a storage facility a support for the community that we're in. In the master plan on page 8.4, it says agriculture is an important use in the county and should be protected from intrusions that will impact its viability. Page 9.1 of the plan describes the rural residential category, that's exactly what we're talking about, as an area for rural lifestyle, such as keeping horses with accessory structures, such as barns and stables. Large lot, single-family rural residential areas are encouraged, quote, to conserve open space, views, and other natural features. That open space is what our 4.9-mile-long Hopewell Road, it's what makes it a popular bicycling corridor. Cyclists pass fields, barns, woods, and homes. But they won't seek out that area any longer if it is spoiled by unsightly commercial structures. People driving in and out of a storage facility would also add more congestion to the intersection in question. There is much already developed property sitting around for the petitioner to build his self-storage facility. There are properties that were being used for other purposes that are vacant. That's one possibility. Or build somewhere where you don't encroach on a residential area and where you're not paving over more of our green space. I don't see how anyone could demonstrate a need for this type of business in our area. Yes, the master plan will allow commercial development here. So I think the commission should wait until a more suitable and worthy project for that property comes along. Allowing commercial should not mean allowing any commercial. 2030 is 11 years from now. What is the harm in waiting? It does not need to happen now. When considering rezoning in a residential area, much less an agricultural residential area, each commission member should ask 3 questions. Would I like that project next door to me? Is that project worth paving over green space? And 3, is that project going to be an asset to the area? So I ask you to be thoughtful about your actions this evening, and I thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity. Thank you.
Any questions? No. Thank you. Anyone else? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you very much, members of the commission. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff, public advocate and resident, P.O. Box 1535 in O'Fallon. First of all, this is our major growing corridor of the county, and as a matter of fact, the region. It's the fastest growing highway and region. Is the fastest growing state highway in our state. Number two, I don't feel that this is the best use of the land, and I don't feel that it fits within our comprehensive plan. Number three, the future of our county is marching west and southwest in terms of growth. To comply with Missouri state statute, has staff sent notification to the city of Wentzville, the city of Lake St. Louis, and the city of O'Fallon to allow ample time for the city councils and the board of aldermen to consider a remonstrance of a supermajority of the county council, which would require, instead of 4 out of 7 votes, it would require 5 out of 7 votes, because this deals with a rezoning within 1 mile of their corporate limit. I'm in opposition to the rezoning. This is not the right place for a storage facility. There's many flaws in this plan. It doesn't belong on the frontage right next to Hopewell Road. There needs to be a buffer because the buildings are too close to the roadway, in my opinion. There's no site-proof fence. As the applicant had stated, there's going to be no fencing, and I have some security issues with that. There's no green space that was added or a landscape plan, and I'm not sure why we don't operate in compliance with state statute and how our municipalities operate, which the Director of Community Development, Mr. Herbert, knows very well that the city of O'Fallon requires the landscape plan, the lighting plan, and all the plans to be diagnosed on that preliminary site plan, not wait for the final plan. So we can hash all these out and make sure that the project works for all sides involved. And I don't see any conditions added to the conditions by staff, and this is a constant problem that I brought to you as planning and zoning commissioners and to the staff to try to get in more compliance to protect not only the adjoining property owners, but the future growth of our county. I would like the commission to add the following conditions so there's no confusion at a later date. That there be no unlicensed vehicles allowed on the property. That there be no unlicensed boats stored at the property or RV trailers. And that there be no outside storage of any kind on the property. I think leaving it open-ended is just going to let the property owner, if somebody comes in with a boat, to park it there, and if it's unlicensed, it becomes an eyesore, it becomes rusty, it becomes derelict, and we have other problems. I can point to you properties in Mr. Klinghammer's district, up along the river, in which they wanted to put in some additional businesses. Well, the property owner let boats and unlicensed vehicles stagger for over 30 years, and it became a junkyard. So I want to ensure that that doesn't happen here. But the whole essence is there's really not a plan. There's only concept plans, and I think we need to firm or hone in on exactly what's being done on the plan, so there's no confusion in the future. I'm opposed to this plan for the future growth of our county. I don't think it's the right place, and I think there's other competition areas, not to mention that this self-storage place will not bring any new generated taxes to our county. No new sales taxes, maybe a slight increase in the improving the property, but very little because they're metal buildings and they're small in nature. So I ask that you vote this rezoning down. Thank you.
Any questions? As far as the record, Mr. Dienoff, the landscape plan is part of the concept plan.
I saw some of the trees, but I didn't see an additional.
It's all down here.
You're talking about the trees on the border?
No. Here, this down here requires the amount of trees, the plantings.
Okay, I pulled it up on my computer, and again, like Mr. Klinghammer,
You couldn't see
same
it.
existence. It was too big to get that on the computer screen. I did not see that, so I apologize.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else want to speak regarding this application? If not, we will close the public hearing. Call the applicant back. Does anyone have any additional questions for the applicant?
So it is going to have a fence around it?
Yes,
Okay, all right. I thought that's what we had, just
Yes.
But no gate?
no gate,
no gate.
Are you concerned about security?
no,
But these units would be open?
no, no. The door would be shut. It would appear that they're locked.
But they're not locked?
No, they are not.
So teenagers could get in there?
Yes.
Why don't you have a gate, a locked gate?
It makes it easier for me to do my business. And my motto has been, and it's worked, is that I have very low overhead. And gate maintenance, a gate in general, very low, I just have very low overhead. And I would put that gate maintenance in a gate, and part of being an overhead expense that I keep.
So you want to run this as inexpensively as you can, regardless of the impact on the neighborhood?
No, not at all. You can ask anybody that rents from me. It is out in Wright City. It is a very clean, the cleanest facility in town. I guarantee it. I put many hours in making sure it stays that way. And I take pride in people rent from me. I'm like 98% full. And I take pride in keeping it clean. As appearance is everything in our business. It's word of mouth. And to touch on her point about there are 11 facilities, there's probably more, but every single one of them is adding on. If you drive down the street, every single one is adding on.
Can the renter put a lock on it if they
Oh
want to?
yeah, that's how it works. So
Okay, you
if
put your own lock on it, so they can
Yes.
be locked.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. So the way, if you guys have time, the way I run my business, I don't care to share. Someone calls me. This is my second job. I have a full-time job. I work about 60 hours a week. So a person calls me from the number off my website or off the internet or off the sign, say, hey, I would like to rent a unit. I tell them, hey, these sizes are available. This is the price. I leave a contract on the inside. They go by, they check out the available units. Hey, I like unit number 67. I'll leave a check in your Dropbox, secure Dropbox with a camera on it. I'd say, I said, I run a lot of my business through just honesty and trust, and I weed them out pretty quick. It doesn't take long to see who's dishonest, and then I get rid of them. And so they fill out the contract, they leave a check, they put an envelope, they put the lock on, it's done. 90% of them I don't ever meet. And it works well for me right now.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We'll bring this back to the commission for discussion.
So we really have two issues here, the zoning.
We would do the rezoning first.
First.
Vote on that, and then we would vote on the conditional use permit.
Okay. So my opinion is that, the rezoning to commercial does make sense, especially with Dillon Road going through to Hopewell. As I question Mr. Prenger, I do question the highest and best use being this facility.
Yeah, I think my view is that the existing zoning of agricultural is the most appropriate for this site. I agree with many of the issues that Susan raised. I'm just not sure this is the best use of that site.
Anyone else? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to rezone the subject property from A agricultural district to C2 general commercial district.
I make a motion to.
Mr. Clary makes the motion. Second? Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Kuhn makes a second. Mr. McDonald, how do you vote?
No.
Mr. Klinghammer?
No.
Ms. Sally?
Yes.
Okay. I vote no. Mr. Cleary?
Yes.
Mr. Leonard?
No.
Mr. Fromm?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhn?
Yes.
4, we have a tie.
Leave the chair with break the tie. My name is Beverly Temple. I'm with the county counsel's office. Megan was unable to make it tonight.
I've already voted, so I voted,
You did vote? I didn't know.
no, I did.
You did?
Yes.
So it's 4-4.
That's 4.
It's 4-4.
So it's not approved.
Yeah, doesn't pass.
Right, doesn't pass.
That's the recommendation.
Yeah.
It's a tie vote. So it's a not negative, it's, does not pass.
Yeah.
Right.
Do we go ahead with this conditional use permit?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns about the conditional use permit?
How can you do a conditional
Why are we
use
going-
permit if it's not commercial zoning?
You just have a negative recommendation.
your
You did
recommendation.
not deny the rezoning taking place.
Yeah, the council.
This is going to the council.
Yeah, the
Right.
council can override it.
So we need a recommendation on this, on the CUP.
Any other questions regarding the CUP?
Well, is there anybody who wants to put any additional conditions on the CUP too?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's one of the things Susan was asking for. So if this does go to the county council and gets overturned, do we want him to have to put a gate on it that's monitored, or more trees or setbacks or whatever, you know?
Right now, the conditions are the substantial compliance with the section of the county code, obtain permits for the entrance off of Hopewell. There is a restriction on the lighting, not exceeding 0.5 foot candles, and no conditional use shall be active until approval has been met. So there's no conditions right now regarding a gate or any other type of security device, and/or the renting of outside storage.
Right.
In my viewpoint,
The outside storage requires an additional CUP. That is not being requested here.
Okay?
So there's no need to put that condition on place. It's not allowed.
Because he's not asking for it.
He's not asking for it.
in my opinion, a fence with no gate makes no sense. Unless it's a very decorative, pretty fence, then why put a fence up at all? And my other even bigger concern is open buildings have a way of attracting kids that are looking for a good place to have fun. Out of sight, they can put the doors back down. We had this very same issue on Boshertown Road. There was some old barns that were still there, and they turned into, they had little bonfires in there and everything else. So I think it's a terrible idea. If it's worked for you in Wright City, more power to you. I just think that in this location, at this time, it doesn't make sense to me, and I won't support it. Thank you.
Does anyone want to propose an additional condition?
Do we want to bring him up?
Pardon?
Would bring him up? Bring Joseph back up?
We can? You want to?
Come on up. So if we put another condition on this, that you have to have a gated storage facility with access by security codes or whatever, are you willing to do that?
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
Well, I'm going to recommend that we put that as a condition.
I would agree with that.
Are you guys comfortable with that's the gate? What about the units just being able to go into them?
Yeah, I rent a unit that's like that. Once you have a code to get in, you can get into any of the ones that are unlocked. You have your own lock that you put on, or you can actually rent them from the facility that I go to, so,
Okay.
yeah. I don't have a problem with that, because it's only the people that are going to be in there are the people that have codes to get in. It's going to have to manage it a little bit more, but, that's just the way it is.
And Mr. Klinghammer, to answer your question about the fence and no gate doesn't make sense. It just was to keep people isolated to one entrance point, and that entrance point would be monitored by video. and that was the reason for the fence and no gate.
Well, I would hope they wouldn't drive across the grass or whatever.
Right. I mean, it would keep people from walking in, you know, from around the perimeter. They'd have to enter from that.
And these electronic gates that are in these facilities, I don't know how often they break down. I don't think it's going to be that much of a maintenance problem for you. If you put a good one in, you're not going to have that much trouble.
Right.
And it'll give you a little added protection and probably a little sleeping better at night too, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I'll ask staff, if I can, what's the width of the landscaping zone or buffer between that house to the east and the buildings? There's a line of trees there.
Right, typically that's a 20-foot, I think on C2 it's 15-foot buffer width minimum, but what they proposed is basically the rear, what they refer to as the rear yard. I'm trying to blow this up for you. The main concern on that is making sure that they meet the number of trees that are required. There is a formula that they follow. That landscaping plan, there will be a formal landscaping plan submitted with their formal site plan. This is the concept that they see right now. They're mixing the coniferous, the deciduous, and I don't think they have any bushes planned for that.
I guess my point is, if I lived in that, is the rectangle thing a house?
No, it's a fenced-in garden.
That's the square there?
Yes.
Yeah, that's-
Yeah, the surveyor, he says anything that's fenced or he puts it on the map.
Or something, because they've got the
Okay.
15.
Because it's oriented different. If you look at the aerial, it's oriented different than what they have on the drawing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the residence looks like it's setting right on the property line from the aerial photograph.
I believe that's also a rental home. I don't think the owner lives there. I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but.
I mean, they did put it right on the property line of another piece of property too, so, you know,
Yeah.
gotta have some ability they should have set back themselves too.
The agricultural setback is 40 feet,
Is it?
so that property is non-conforming.
Yeah, that's what I kind of figured. How long ago was it? Do we know what the age of that property is?
1972.
Okay. Right. That makes a big difference. Okay.
But it's already there
Yeah.
prior to
Right, before
this
we
being.
change. Sure. Yeah, but
Okay.
he's still.
Thank you.
Right.
You're welcome.
We're making it a condition that.
Well, we'll have to have a
What's that?
motion.
So I've made a motion to add a gate, security gate that has access only to the residents of that,
To the renters.
renters of the facility.
Motion been made that we add condition 5, which would require the facility be secured by a gate, and only those renters would have access to the property.
So unrented units will be locked,
No, sir.
but they just can't get in?
They can't get in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, normally they're not locked.
yeah.
Facilities don't lock them.
Okay.
They want somebody to be able to go in and look at them.
Okay.
Open them up and look at them, without the owner having to go out every time.
So just how high is this fence going to be around this property?
King Kong size, or
No, I would say
keep a human being outside?
yes.
6 feet?
Yeah, or 8.
Okay.
What are you gonna make the fence out of?
I kind of thought that would be something that would be like some kind of a requirement that you guys would put on me. Like I'd say I want a fence and you would require the kind of fence. So I really hadn't gotten that far, to be honest with you. I just know that I want a fence. You know, I think it would be based upon what you guys require me to put.
I'd say no chain link.
Yeah, I kind of figured it'd be a no chain link. That's not pretty.
Is that, do we have any requirements in our,
There's no requirement.
I still think there's more questions on this than answers. I mean, I'll make the motion that it has to be a fence of black aluminum. I mean,
Metal?
Hmm?
Metal's not
Metal, aluminum, yeah, you're right. A metal fence with black, not green, I don't know, jeez.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm laughing with you, not at you.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Just, we don't usually design people's projects for them, so.
And I'll be honest with you, maybe we have the cart before the horse, you know. I was under the understanding it was a concept plan for the rezoning and
Not the CUP, though.
okay. Then I misunderstood.
I mean, we usually have some pretty detailed things that we look at when we're talking, especially when it comes to the council, I'll just tell you, it's,
Yeah,
give it a heads up. They're gonna want to know what it's gonna look like.
okay.
And don't bring one that we can't read. Don't do that.
I paid an engineer very well to submit what I thought was needed.
Have a
so-
little chat with them, but that's beside the point.
Yes, yeah. So I apologize for that.
Yeah.
So, point of order. First, we haven't gotten a second on the first amendment. Okay, then there's a second amendment that will be, I guess, after the second. And third, the site plan, the conceptual site plan that he submitted meets the 12 requirements. This is the minimum that is necessary.
Right.
So, just to clarify.
Okay. So we have a motion by Mr. Fromm that would require the facility to be, have a secured gate for limiting access only to those renters. Is there a second? Mr. McDonald? Second? All those in favor, sign aye. Aye. Opposed? Anyone abstain? Okay. That passes now. Mr. Klinghammer, do you care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that the fence be a minimum of 6 feet high, black, and made out of some sort of metal.
Second.
And not, sorry, I'm gonna add, not chain link mesh.
Okay.
That's all my second.
You're okay with mesh?
Well, yeah. I seconded the first part.
All right.
Okay, now we have a motion's been made and seconded, made by Mr. Klinghammer, seconded by Mr. Fromm, that we require that the facility be fenced, the fence be a minimum of 6 feet high, made out of metal, black in color, with the exception being no chain link. Any questions, discussion on that motion? All those in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that condition passes. You can sit back down if you want.
All right.
Any other conditions? Okay. So the chair will entertain a motion to approve conditional use permit CUR 19-02 as amended.
So moved.
From made the
Second.
motion. Mr., who made the, who seconded? You took, Tom, did you second?
Yes.
Ms. Sally, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Cleary?
No.
No. Mr. Leonard?
No.
No. Mr. Fromm?
Yes.
Mr. Kuhn?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald? No. Mr. Klinghammer?
No.
Okay, again, we're 4 and 4, so our recommendation goes forward to the county council, and that meeting is May 13th. Okay. Next on the agenda is preliminary plat PRE 19-02. The engineer is Volz Incorporated. The owner, developer is Jason R. Jensen and April D. Jensen Revocable Trust. The property is currently zoned R1B, Single Family Residential District. Proposed lots are 2. Parcel size is 1.79 acres. The location is at the northern terminus of Castle Lake Court, near the city of Weldon Spring, located in Council District 7. Staff.
All right, on this plat, this is a re-subdivision plat and was by requirement to be presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Originally, this was 2 lots, lots 51 and 52. It was boundary adjusted. It's adjusted several years ago because a owner wanted to have these 2 lots as 1 lot and build their home on it. They apparently decided against that and built in St. Louis County somewhere. So now the developer would like to put this back into 2 lots, similar to what it was originally platted as. There are no new utilities planned. Nothing needs to be added. There's no land disturbance that needs to be addressed. It's all going back to the same original plat.
Any questions of staff? Seeing none, the applicant come forward. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in these proceedings under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Jason Jensen, 765 West Kirkham, Glendale, Missouri.
Do you have anything to?
Yeah, pretty straightforward, I think. We just did, bought the lot. We were going to build a house on it. Bought the lots. We were going to build a house on it, so we merged the lots, and then basically ended up finding another old house in St. Charles that we liked, or St. Louis County that we liked, and moved on that instead.
Okay. Any questions of Mr. Jensen? Okay. Thank you, sir. Please fill out one of our speaker cards. I'll now open a public hearing for application PRE-1902. Anyone here wishing to speak regarding this application? Anyone? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing, bring this back to the commission for consideration.
This is basically just putting the lots back the way they were.
Correct.
Yep.
I'll entertain a motion to approve PRE 19-02.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. made the motion, Mr. Cleary made the second. Mr. Leonard?
Yes.
Mr. Fromm?
Yes.
Mr. Coon?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Klinghammer?
Yes.
Ms. Sally?
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Clary?
Yes.
Passes 8-0. Okay, we have no tabled items. Next on the agenda is the approval of the March 20th, 2019 minutes.
For approval.
Second.
Motion's been made. Second. All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Other business, planning and zoning division updates. Do we have any?
I don't think there are any tonight.
Robert's on vacation.
Robert's on vacation. That's the update?
That's the update.
Okay.
Somehow he got on vacation during planning and zoning commission.
Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Pretty smart.
So moved. All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.